There's been a lot of feedback and appreciation for my conversation about Black women who have been unemployed for an extreme amount of time now. But instead of just complaining about it, I thought it would be a good idea to offer some solutions for it. So before we can go into what are some effective job search or job pursuit options in a slow job market for Black women, I want us to have a summary of the context of why this is such an important topic. And by the way, I'm going to have chapters in this video, so if you already know the deal, you already know why we are suffering the worst under this economy, you can just skip ahead to the chapters. So why did over 300,000 Black women lose their jobs this year? Well, the recent unemployment trend for Black women starts at the federal government. According to Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley, Black women, who comprise about 12% of the federal workforce in America, were disproportionately impacted by the Trump administration's DOGE layoffs. So if you remember, that was what Elon Musk was leading earlier in February of 2025. Black women were also less likely to have taken private sector jobs over federal jobs because federal jobs offered higher pay, more equitable pay, and greater benefits, as well as greater job security. Even the private sector let Black women go due to bending the knee to the Trump administration's attacks on DEI programs, or diversity, equity, inclusion programs. So basically, any Black woman in a community-facing or cultural building position or role in a private company was most likely let go due to the company trying to show the Trump administration that they were in support of their anti-DEI agenda. So now, how high is the Black woman's unemployment rate in 2025? Is it exaggerated, or is this really a serious issue? The answer is yes, due to two very disturbing facts. So the number of over 300,000 women losing jobs has been thrown around a bit now since April. But what's really, really scary is that over 500,000 Black women have not had a job or have not participated in the labor force since 2020, since the start of the pandemic. So 500,000 Black women have not been working since 2020. That's 5 years now. On top of that, this is not just for Black women, but for anyone in the US right now. The job market lost 13,000 jobs in June, and this is the first time this has happened since 2020, again, using the pandemic as a benchmark. Additionally, the job market only grew by 22,000 jobs last month. So we're in a very stagnant job market right now, at least for the US. Now we'll go into what do we do? How do we navigate this job market, especially as a Black woman who has experienced a layoff? I've been noticing a lot of weird behavior in the comments, specifically bot behavior. So if you're a real human being who is listening to my voice right now and appreciates what you're hearing, I would really love it for you to share this with as many of your real human friends as possible. Now back to the video. So I'm going to talk about it from both the perspective of being a freelancer / entrepreneur and looking for a traditional job, meaning just becoming an employee, a W-2 worker. First, I'll start with moving forward as a freelancer or an entrepreneur. I've been doing this now for over 5 years. And one of the things that I have been up against a hill with is using services like Fiverr. I'm specifically going to talk about Fiverr Pro, which is supposed to be a more exclusive label placed on a freelancer's Fiverr profile to set them apart and show that they have been vetted by Fiverr themselves to be extremely equipped and qualified for whatever work or service that they're offering. I was recently approved twice for this label for doing work in writing and also research. And this has happened, I think, at least 4 months ago. And I can, without a doubt, say that it has done nothing to change whether or not I'm getting more high quality clients or not, or booking any clients, period. I tried reaching out to Fiverr leadership, especially the people who are specifically in charge of the Fiverr Pro program to ask them what they would advise for freelancers to do in addition to just getting vetted and having that label on their profile. And I have received crickets, no response. And so that leaves me thinking that this is not something that is really set up to set freelancers up for success, to be honest with you. I am very concerned also by the quality of proposals that were sent to me. And again, this is Fiverr saying, hey, you are a vetted pro, so we're specifically going to put you in the face of serious clients who are looking for seriously qualified service providers. And it seems like I'm getting very spammy, very scammy proposals. And if I have some screenshotted, I will put them up on the screen so you can see that these just don't look legitimate at all. So I'm sorry to say or report that this service that's supposed to put you in the top tier of service providers or freelancers on a platform as big as Fiverr does not really move the needle. So I would not waste any time doing it. Another thing that I talk about on and on again in this on this channel and in my newsroom is the benefits of Black women moving abroad to widen their options in terms of work and it's also in terms of quality of life. So in this chapter, we're going to talk about countries hiring foreign workers where the demand is high. Where can Black women find remote jobs after losing work internationally? First up is the Netherlands. The Netherlands seems to have a great schema for incorporating international workers, not just freelancers, but people who are looking to get employed by Dutch companies as well. They reportedly have the best benefits and the most legal protection for workers across the EU and actually internationally. And they're big proponents of flexible work, meaning allowing workers to decide not only what kind of work they want to do, but when they want to do it. So for example, the Netherlands has a higher employment rate than the United States, the UK, and France, three of the largest economies in the world. However, caveat, and there are going to be at least two other caveats in this chapter. If you are someone who is vehemently against anti-immigration and ultra far-right sentiment, you may want to stay away from the Netherlands due to an uptick in that kind of rhetoric from the government level. Croatia recently announced that they are allowing digital nomads to have their visas for at least 3 years, which is a huge benefit because normally digital nomad visas tend to be 1 year or maybe 2 years max. So this is a great way to have a set place to stay and work as a remote worker and not have to worry about renewing consistently. Additionally, they've made it easier for people who are unmarried but have been partnered with someone for over 3 years to have that partner apply for a joint visa. So if you don't have any children and are not married but still live with someone who you consider your partner and want to move together, then this is a huge benefit. Croatia is also appealing because it has a low cost of living, so apartments, groceries, etc., not as expensive, and it has a relatively low minimum income required for the visa. So the minimum income requirement in US dollars is approximately $46,000 annually. The UAE is a controversial choice given its involvement in the Sudanese conflict, and I talked about this on TikTok, and I believe there's a YouTube short as well about this that I filmed. But I just want to put it out there that technically speaking, this would have been a country I would have recommended due to the fact that they have paid maternity leave and also relatively easy remote worker visas, and also getting a visa through employment sponsorship from a Emirati company. However, again, due to me wanting to be as transparent as possible about my ethics, I do not feel comfortable 100% endorsing moving to the UAE due to their active instigation within the Sudanese conflict. Mauritius is on the African continent, and that might be appealing to some people who would rather go to a majority Black or majority non-white country. However, it is not divorced or not lacking of any controversy as well. or the country has been in the news for using police force to crack down on civil liberties and free speech. And at least in the past 2 elections, there has been accusations of fraud. So it is a politically volatile country, but it also offers relatively easy remote visa application processes. Now, whether or not you choose any of the countries that I mentioned, and I'm going to go into more depth about countries that are best for remote workers or people who are looking for work in this economy if you leave a comment below and tell me that you want that video. But regardless of what country you choose, one of the things I'm going to implore or ask you to do is do cold outreach to potential companies, potential clients through LinkedIn or through your own online research to first get a gauge of whether or not these people would be interested in working with you or willing to hire you. I would strongly advise against moving to a country just because the visa process is easy, but not having a clear plan of action for how you're going to maintain your income once you get there. So the best way to do this, in my humble opinion, is to do some cold outreach to people who would potentially hire you for your services. So just do like a quick LinkedIn search of the largest companies in your industry or area of expertise and see whether or not any of those people in positions of leadership, the decision makers, would be open to working with you in the near future, and see how you can negotiate before getting on the ground there an opportunity to, sign a contract or a memorandum of agreement about working together. This chapter is about get a job quick schemes, which are rampant right now due to the desperate situation that a lot of people are in, especially Black women. So how do you beware of these promoted scams that are saying that you can get a job without an interview or within less than a week or less than a month? First, I'm going to name the scams that I found outright that have been promoted the most, and I'll explain why they are scams. So Mod Squad has been promoted a lot. It's, I believe, just a general remote work platform that you can just apply to multiple different jobs at the same time. Both on Glassdoor and Trustpilot, they've had a rating of 3 stars or below, and common comments have been the work environment and the lack of opportunities for growth. Similar reviews have been said for Appen, which I believe is specifically in the tech space. If I'm saying this wrong, because I'm trying not to keep looking at my script while I'm talking, I'll just put a caption at the bottom that says where these companies are promising. But just know that you're not going to reach out to them anyway because they're scams. Alorica is another one that came up often. And I will also point out that it was just one video alone, one video from a YouTuber who I won't call out, but I'll just say buyer beware of these YouTubers who are going on camera trying to sell you these platforms and saying, oh yeah, they're the best and you should definitely try them, and not offering any kind of vetted evidence for why that's the case. Because as soon as I looked at every single of these websites that this one YouTuber mentioned, I already saw that it was a scam. So the moral of the story is, as you're looking into these job site platforms, always look at the Glassdoor, always look at the Indeed, always look at the Trustpilot reviews and see what people are leaving as comments, because more than likely they're going to reveal to you that these are not really the most trustworthy resources for your job search. Know that there are certain companies in specific sectors that are not hiring people, let alone Black women, due to mass layoffs, and that's the tech industry, the media industry, or journalism. Surprisingly, accounting, paralegal work, copywriting work. So copywriting can include digital media and or marketing, and also graphic design. So some of these might be a surprise to you because they're typically touted as job secure and usually in high demand of employees, but right now they are either laying off or pausing any kind of hiring. So I'd recommend that you don't even bother including them in your job search. But now that leads me to this next chapter, fulfillment versus payment. Right now, it can seem very daunting that you have to choose between paying your bills versus doing something that you actually feel fulfilled and as if you have a purpose doing, that you feel like this is something that you would genuinely want to pursue versus something that you're just pursuing for the sake of a paycheck. And unfortunately, I would have to say this, and this is something that I'm trying to cope with as well as someone who works in media. So we're both holding each other's hand as we say this. Right now, I would say that you have to make the decision of which one is more important, and more than likely it's going to be hard to balance both at the same time, fulfillment and steady paychecks. So let's talk about this from a entrepreneurship standpoint. Let's talk about practical versus aspirational business ideas. My aspiration is to build a digital media business and platform to make myself a strong, independent voice in the media space, specifically using my journalism skills and background in certain sectors and areas to inform and support Black women who are in need of leadership development or just feeling insecure about their status in life. Those are aspirational goals. But let's talk about if I need to make money like tomorrow and my digital media company hasn't really kicked off yet. What can I do realistically right now to guarantee a consistent paycheck as an entrepreneur? I have some ideas. I would say right now that you need to really look at jobs or entrepreneurship opportunities that are safe from AI. Things that people are not saying I can just use ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever to handle versus an actual human being. And those are usually in the construction space, legal counsel. So lawyers are still needed, people who actually really know and have studied the law versus putting it into, God forbid, ChatGPT and coming up with a very, very bad and not legally binding deal. Healthcare, because we still need people to manage the sick, the dying, people who need their annual checkups, etc. Mental health care, despite all the news about people using AI as their therapists, actual people who are working in the mental health care sector are still in high in demand. Firefighting, I know that's random, but hey, fires happen. And if you're not in a place that strictly relies on volunteer firefighters, and you have the physicality to do it, you might want to consider that as an option. Home repair, fixer-uppers, so someone has a damaged porch or needs their pipes fixed, that's in high demand still. You can't use AI to do that, not yet. I have tourism here, but I have a question mark around it because I was also considering becoming a travel agent, but I'm gonna do a little bit more digging on that and get back to you because there are a lot of these, again, get job quick schemes, beware, Fora. I will see if I'll edit that out later, but Fora is one of those scams that are telling you to use your own audience that you've built already or your own, I don't know, group of clientele that you have already to then sell them packages through these agencies. And it sounds a little bit pyramid scheme-ishy. So let me do a little bit more research on that before I can, with authority, say that tourism might be a good option for you to move into in terms of AI. But I think that also people are using ChatGPT to create travel itineraries. So you need to be a little bit more creative and thoughtful with how you're doing that. Now, an honest question that we have to ask ourselves, are we willing to submit to AI? Because the kind of like catch-22, we're living in the Twilight Zone, Black Mirror is real universe that we're in right now is that while AI is stealing certain jobs, it is also creating new jobs. Tech companies are hiring human AI trainers, even though there's also some controversy around that, especially how they're going to countries like Kenya and exploiting low-wage workers to do this kind of work. The other thing is that, are you training AI to eventually take someone else's job? And how do you feel about that ethically? These are all things to consider. Because once they told us that coding was essential to the future of work, and then AI took those jobs. So if they're telling us now that AI is essential to the future of work, what's going to replace that in the near future? So I would say proceed with caution with going ahead with pursuing AI, but just putting it out there as a thought. I'll end the video with this chapter, job search by age, sex, and location, because it is important to think about how does your age or level of seniority in terms of your professional life and career affect your job search. Obviously, how does your gender affect it, especially when it's at the intersection of race and gender? And then also where you are in the world, how does that affect what's happening in terms of your job search. Now, obviously, in terms of location, the US is a hot mess. So that's why previously I mentioned considering other countries that might be more hospitable to you, especially if you're looking for remote or flexible work. But let's start with age. Let's start with Gen Z, because Gen Z right now is the youngest working age group exists right now. Gen Alpha is still too young to even think about getting jobs. So we'll save that for a couple of years from now. Gen Z, I'm going to break it down into 3 sections for you, because some of you are just starting college, have just finished college, or are right at the cusp of figuring out where you're going to go to school once you graduate high school. If you are still in college, you need to change your major ASAP if it is not in any of the AI safe jobs that I had mentioned earlier, or AI safe sectors that I had mentioned. And I'll just repeat some here. Political science, because of the law, criminal justice as well, business management or business law. So all of that falls under the framework of legal work that you can still do and is AI safe. Economics, psychology due to the mental health care demand, biology and chemistry due to healthcare or medical sector still being strong, and also architecture. I think architecture is a creative thing to go into, to have your college degree and still be able to do something like construction or home repair, because you can add a little flair to it, especially if you're an entrepreneur, with making it like a bespoke kind of service where you offer specific kinds of unique offerings to people if they pay a certain premium. If you're still in high school at the senior level and you're Gen Z, let's think about college. Let's take a beat for a second. I know your parents don't want me to say this to you. I know from experience, but don't worry, they're not listening right now. Reconsider college. Do you maybe want to take a gap year? And you can be working during this gap year, doing one of the AI safe jobs that I mentioned earlier. Think about taking a gap year to do that, to work, or whatever you choose, and do some reflection on whether or not you truly know what kind of work you can get paid for that is also fulfilling to you and would be secure for at least the next 5 years. Also, use that gap year to think about where you can study either of these trades or subjects and get a full ride, a full scholarship to study it. Forget about elitism right now and thinking about going to the Ivy Leagues or getting the prestige from a good college brand name. That literally doesn't matter anymore. Where can you go, whether it's a community college or what have you, that's going to give you a full ride to study any of these things that you've chosen to study, that's going to have you job secure for the next 5 years. That's what I would do right now if you're in high school. Also consider, do you learn and work better under traditional academic settings or just hands-on, using your hands? Like maybe you do want to just go straight into the trades. Maybe that's something that resonates with you more. Or do you like the traditional classroom setting? And also, do you have enough financial and family resources to back you in doing something on your own as an entrepreneur? So earlier, the entrepreneurship jobs that I mentioned were AI safe. Do you have family members that would want to support you in exploring that for a year before you go into college? Maybe like not financially, but maybe allowing you to stay at home a little bit longer, rent-free, so that you can explore that and see if it's a viable opportunity. Before you take on any debt, before you take on any student loans, I really want you to consider those 3 things. If you've already graduated from college, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry that you are entering into this market in this way, but here are some steps that you can take to make your situation a little bit better. First of all, are you over leveraged? Do you have far too much in student loan debt and maybe any other type of financial debt that is going to prevent you from pursuing certain type of work and is going to require you to say, okay, this is not my passion, this is not fulfilling, but this is something right now that is lucrative. Let me go in that direction instead. So I know you got a degree in, maybe you got a degree in art history, and right now museums, etc., are not hiring. What can you do that's not related to that degree, but still gives you a lot of money? If that's something that you're just not willing to entertain, well, can you find fiscal sponsorship or a scholarship for a master's degree program? Is there a mentor in your life that would be willing to pay your way full ride to get a master's degree in a new area, a new subject that is experiencing high job growth right now? Or is there a community college again, or a university that is willing to offer you a full ride for a master's degree program or even a PhD program? If so, I would say take that opportunity and train yourself in a program in a subject area that's experiencing job security right now. Lastly, and this is not just for Gen Z who've just graduated, this is also for millennials that I'm going to talk about in a second. But are there paid fellowships, any paid stipend programs that you can apply for and do that for a year or so that can give you something extra to add to your resume in a, again, lucrative area, place that's experiencing high job growth in the current job market? Apply. I've been doing the same. So millennials, we are the youngest seasoned workers. And I'm not going to talk about boomers or anybody older, to be honest with you, because I think that they have other things to their advantage. So millennials, we are the older seasoned workers, the youngest older seasoned workers right now who are experiencing a crisis in the job market. What can we do given what's going on right now? I want to highly recommend Low Lift Thought Leadership. Whether or not you are interested in becoming an entrepreneur or not, I think it's important to build a personal brand. I think it's important right now, especially in this social media digital era, to have a visible presence online. I'm not saying that you have to be an influencer. I'm not saying you have to be a content creator. And that's why I said low lift thought leadership, where you are putting yourself out there as someone who has thoughts and opinions in an area where you want to be employed, in an area where you do want to have clients pay you for your services or expertise. What's a low lift way of doing thought leadership? Follow or connect with as many high profile people in the sector or industry that you are pursuing, and always be leaving comments on their post. So you're not creating the post, you're not creating the opinions and posting it and putting it out there, although you could if you wanted to do that. But what you're really focusing on, what you're really concentrating on, is commenting on other people's highly visible profiles. So even if you don't have the large following, they have a large following, and that large following is reading the comment section. So be in there, be in there all day, every day, as often as you can, leaving thoughtful, not just spammy, thoughtful commentary on whatever subject that they're talking about, and make sure it is aligned with the sector in which you are looking for a job or looking to become a business owner / entrepreneur in. I cannot recommend that more than ever. Like, that has extremely helped me with building my business and building my brand to where it is, how I got my book deal, how I got certain clients, how I have grown my platform as well. So I'm speaking from experience. I'm a testimony to this. Definitely be in the comment section. I need to do that more often than not, so I'm also holding myself accountable. And leave, again, thoughtful and useful, something that is tangible and can be used, advice or tips related to the topic that this person posted about. I'll also say look at specialized job boards. So don't just blast LinkedIn and use Easy Apply or just go on Indeed, but find a job board or a website that is specific to, again, the sector or the industry that you are interested in working in. And I have a couple here. Not sure how great this is going to turn out for you given all the tech layoffs, but Built In is widely known as a job board specifically for people trying to get into the tech sector. So if you're maybe pursuing those AI jobs and you're just closing your eye to the fact that AI is the enemy right now, then you might want to go to Built In and look for jobs there. Leading Like a Lady, my platform. We specifically post jobs in the media sector that have to do with writing and that have to do with digital media or marketing. So you can go to the link in the description box of this video, or just go to the website and search freelance jobs near me on the website, and our job listings will pop up there. The National Association for Law Placement is a website that is highly regarded and is updated pretty often with jobs in the legal sector, which is one of those AI safe sectors. So you can go there, NALP. Now, I also was just looking for any resources available to Black women based on their status in life and based on their location. So were there any state specific or were there any status specific resources? For example, what about working moms? Are there maybe stipends for people who cannot afford childcare? And I'm sorry to report that unfortunately the Republicans are doing everything in their power right now to make that impossible, particularly by trying to eliminate funding to Head Start programs that often give free or reduced cost childcare to working moms. I would say if it's possible to move in with your children's grandparents so that they can juggle the load with you of watching your children, that would probably be an option. Again, if it's available to you. I'm still doing some more research. I could not find enough information about state level or even more locally regional level resources for any Black women experiencing job loss right now. I know there are different people who are offering emergency funds, so I'm going to do a little bit more digging for that part. So just bear with me as I get back to you with that information, and definitely leave a comment below if that's something that you would find extremely useful. But for the sake of not making this video too long, I just want to say that I really, really, really hope that you are finding community and finding some group that is helping you be at peace right now, given all the chaos that this economy is causing. I also hope that you found this video at least as a good jumping off point to building your plan of action and figuring out where to go next. I'm going to chop up this video also into smaller bites so that each chapter would be like a small snippet so that you can watch and just review the specific area that you are mostly focused on or concentrated on. Share this with as many people as possible that you think it would help. Leave comments below if there's any other questions that you felt should have been answered or would be beneficial for me to answer in regards to specifically Black women looking for jobs right now in this market. Or if you've just been subscribed to this channel for a while, thank you. And are maybe recently subscribed to this channel. If not, hit the subscribe button right now, and are just interested in other topics that you would like me to cover based on what you see already covered on this channel. Leave me a comment below because I'm at your service. That's my new role here. And as always, thank you so much for spending your time with me here, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.